Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and on the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up today, 2 chances to win fantabulous prizes, including Mission Impossible tickets during our 445 Real Deal segment. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
It's fitting that our daily dose of adrenaline is that sound clip because it comes from the movie The Rock. And Alcatraz was prominently featured over the weekend because of an announcement Donald Trump made. We'll come back to that in a second. One of the reasons I originally was supporting Ron DeSantis for the most recent presidential election was he knows how to use the levers of power, he is level-headed, he is a clear thinker, and I wouldn't have to spend my days defending him all the time. Do I like President Trump? Of course. Do I like a lot of his policies? Of course. But this weekend, it's just getting harder and harder to rationalize some of this stuff because it doesn't seem like there's any logic behind it. So the weekend started off great. Why? Donald Trump and the White House clearly have their troll game at maximum capacity, and we've all been loving it. Gulf of America, the Joe Biden fault line. No, that's not real, but we thought it was funny instead of the San Andreas fault. We've been enjoying all this stuff. So yesterday was May 4th, Star Wars Day. And the Trump White House releases a picture of Donald Trump fully muscular, looking like a Jedi on steroids with a lightsaber, knowing it's going to drive somebody like Mark Hamill completely bonkers. Funny, entertaining. He's also been trolling everybody with this Trump in 2028 stuff. Now, that's a lot of Steve Bannon doing that rather than the White House, but they are still selling the Trump in 2028 hats. And look, this is something that trolls the left because they keep saying Donald Trump's a dictator who's never going to give up power. And instead, this weekend, he made it very, very clear that this whole thing was just a gag in an interview with Kristen Walker over on NBC.
The Trump organization is selling hats that say Trump 2028.
Yeah.
Are you seriously considering a third term, Mr. President, even though it's prohibited by the Constitution? Or is this about staying politically viable?
I will say this. So many people want me to do it. I have never had requests so strong as that. But it's something that, to the best of my knowledge, you're not allowed to do. I don't know if that's constitutional that they're not allowing you to do it or anything else, but there are many people selling the 2028 hat. But this is not something I'm looking to do. I'm looking to have 4 great years and turn it over to somebody, ideally a great Republican, to carry it forward. But I think we're going to have 4 years, and I think 4 years is plenty of time to do something really spectacular.
So, that's the end of the troll. He said it himself. He's done. Great. Now the left can stop with their dictator nonsense. They won't, but at least now people like me can say, guys, he very clearly said he's not going for another term. Stop with your Trump derangement syndrome. Now, he's also was asked about if he would support J.D. Vance or somebody else for vice president, and he's smart enough to not get involved in that mess because the second he says he's going to back J.D. Vance, well, what if Marco Rubio has his eye on the ball? What if Pete Hegseth has now stepped up? Now you got problems in your cabinet. He was smart enough not to take the bait on any of that. But he also was asked about his record. And NBC had an interesting spin on the Trump administration thus far, and Trump called her out for it.
Prices are already going up on some popular items. Tires, strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already. Prices are down on groceries. Prices are down for oil. Prices are down for all energy. Prices are down at tremendous numbers for gasoline. And let me tell you, when you have the big thing, what he did, he spent like a stupid person, which he was, but he spent like a very stupid person. And that was bad for inflation. But what really killed us with inflation was the price of energy.
He is right. He's right again. The prices on those items are going down. But then here's where it goes off the rails. Mike and I have discussed the very real concern about different industries that are being affected by these tariffs, where the products are made overseas, where the products are made in China. And it's hurting American businesses that get their products made over there. And not everybody can pivot to making them here. Not everybody can make them affordably here. So this clip here is where he started to lose the plot.
Psychologically, I mean, the fake news was giving me such press on the tariffs. The tariffs are going to make us rich. We're going to be a very rich country.
So let's talk about the tariffs. And I want to ask you about something you said this week. Got a lot of attention. You were at your cabinet meeting. You said, quote, I'm going to quote what you said, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30.
Yeah.
And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. Are you saying that your tariffs will cause some prices to go up?
No, I think the tariffs are going to be great for us because it's going to make us rich.
But you said some dolls are going to cost more. Isn't that an acknowledgement that some prices will go up?
I don't think a beautiful baby girl that's 11 years old needs to have 30 dolls. I think they can have 3 dolls or 4 dolls because what we were doing with China was just unbelievable. We had a trade deficit of hundreds of billions of dollars with China.
When you say they could have $3 instead of $30, are you saying Americans could see empty store shelves?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they don't need to have $30. They can have 3. They don't need to have 250 pencils. They can have 5.
But you're basically saying there could be some supply shortages because of the tariff.
We don't have to waste money on a trade deficit with China for things we don't need, for junk that we don't need.
That is going to be the Democrats' commercial, if they're smart, going into next year. Because we used a similar clip from the Biden administration talking about the limited options on the shelves that we had during the supply chain. And we use that as a clip against the Democrats. Also, it doesn't sound great coming from a guy who lives in a golden apartment who is known as a very wealthy guy. That is a real let them eat cake moment, and it's not good. And the problem is, if the Democrats are smart, which it seems to be they're very stupid right now, and that's our one saving grace, Republicans would be in a lot of trouble. But if they ever actually grow a brain, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. For example, did you notice over the weekend the conversation also shifted on the illegal immigrant thing? So now they're not talking about Kilmar Abreu Garcia, the Maryland man, the Maryland father, because that's been destroyed. Now that he's fully an MS-13 gang member, and there's no doubt about it, and he's a wife beater and human smuggler and drug dealer and maybe one of the heads of MS-13 in his region. Now they finally start having the discussion about due process. Oh, only took you guys a month, but eventually they grew a brain and figured it out. If they figure out to use this in their ads, Republicans got a real problem because what was Trump's big promise? He was going to fix the economy. Now, as I said from the beginning, if you are using tariffs as leverage to try and get things out of other countries, that's great. If you're using it to pay off the debt, that means Americans are paying off the debt for the reckless spending because we're the ones who are going to have to pay more. So let me ask you this. What would you prefer? Paying more because of tariffs or paying more because of Biden inflation? Because in my mind, there's not much of a difference. Where are these trade deals? I'm hoping they're all coming. But if they're not coming, we are the ones who are going to be paying for this heading into the holiday season. I am revising something I said earlier. I had said beforehand, Donald Trump has until the end of the year to fix the financial problems and fix the economy. No, he doesn't. He has until the end of the summer. And the reason he has until the end of the summer is because if you go into the holiday season with this mess, if you go into Halloween and kids can't get costumes, if you go into Christmas and parents can't get the presents they want, they're going to say the same things they said about Joe Biden. The good news is Donald Trump is good at adjusting his policy on the fly. He needs to do it right now, literally right now. I'm not saying get rid of the tariffs. What I am saying is make the deals and fix this, or ramp up the manufacturing here, or decrease the prices of manufacturing here. Those are the things that got to get done because a lot of people are not going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And a lot of people are going to say, look, The shelves don't have what I need them to have for Christmas. It's that simple. I got older kids, but I know what it would have been like if my kids couldn't get what they wanted for Hanukkah, and you may think that's a very selfish American thing. Yeah, good luck trying to tell American parents that their kids are being selfish, which is what that clip just sounded like. Now you got problems.
Don't tell me what I need and what I don't need.
Exactly. The other administration did that all the time. All the time. And people say, didn't you vote for this? Not exactly. We knew he was talking about this, but he was talking about doing this for a specific reason. And all these countries said, we want to negotiate with you. Great. So let's negotiate and get it done. Stop listening to Peter Navarro, who says we're going to pay off the debt by doing this. You're not, because people are going to start doing deals with China and other countries because they're not going to see America as a reliable partner anymore. Now the Alcatraz thing. I've been to Alcatraz. It is one of the coolest museum experiences I have ever been to. It's awesome. The Rock, one of my favorite action movies of all time, comes in right behind Die Hard. It's really the thing that launched Nicolas Cage into action stardom, because don't forget, before then, he was doing a lot of rom-coms and rom-dramedies or whatever you want to call them. That was Nicolas Cage. I love the Alcatraz tour. Anybody who's been there thinks this idea of turning Alcatraz into a federal prison again is insane. Absolutely insane. Number one, it may be the only thing worth seeing in San Francisco anymore as a tourist attraction. You may say, okay, Ari, security trumps tourist attraction. I agree. But basically, Sean Connery going, The Rock has become a tourist attraction? Yeah, you know what? It has, because the whole thing is falling apart. One of the reasons it was shut down in 1963 was because it was not economically solvent. It was not economically efficient or practical to continue running it as a prison. Because if you need anything on the island, you have to bring it to the island. And unlike McNeil Island, which has places where you can grow things, it's called The Rock because it's a rock. And you have to actually bring everything on because you're on a giant rock. You want to say that Donald Trump is trying to kick off a conversation about how we keep people behind bars? Great. Fine. Fantastic. But, they're shutting down Rikers Island, and that lasted a lot longer for similar reasons, because it's not economically efficient anymore. Doing this, never mind the fact that you're going to have a whole bunch of Native American problems because of that Native American occupation that happened in the 1970s. They're going to go ballistic. Now you've got to fight that battle on behalf of Trump. I don't even want to go down this road. Why do we put the prisons out in the deserts these days, in the middle of nowhere? Because when was the last time you heard of an escape attempt? I know they say nobody escaped Alcatraz. 14 escape attempts that we know about. 3 guys may have actually gotten away, and that was in the 1960s. Right there. Also, you keep these guys out in the desert, they know there's nowhere they can go. But right there, they're staring at San Francisco all day long. Do you know they had to build a house for Sean Connery on Alcatraz because he didn't want to make the trip by ferry while they were filming that movie? He didn't want to do it. I've made that trip by ferry. It's not an easy one to do on a daily basis if the wind kicks up in that bay, which it does on the regular, as Mike would say. It has some pretty bad currents. Right now, I think this is all about, and also here's the other thing, we're trying to be efficient with our spending. Do you know the billions of dollars we're going to spend retrofitting that place? The whole thing is falling apart. You have to build everything from scratch, and you have to bring it all out there by boat. If this is to start a conversation about how we keep prisoners behind bars and don't release them the way Washington State does, I am all for it. And Trump is good at moving the national conversation. I am all for it. But if this is just, we actually want to reopen Alcatraz, it don't make sense, and it defeats your narrative about cutting spending when you're going to blow all the money on this boondoggle, which, by the way, can't hold as many prisoners as the big prisons that we have in the middle of nowhere, like in New Mexico and stuff. This don't make a lot of sense. Then there's the Hollywood thing. So, Hollywood is having a lot of problems that are self-imposed. What do I mean by that? Hollywood has made it so expensive to make a movie in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, that people have gone elsewhere to make those movies, especially given the fact that nowadays, what do you really need to build? A green screen? That's about it. Universal Studios California, for those of you who have been there before, you may notice the back lot is getting smaller and smaller. And when you go there, there's nothing really filming anymore. It used to be you went there and you could see them filming whatever it is. You could see them filming Back to the Future. You could see them filming whatever TV show was going on. All of it was being filmed. It's not being made because it's too expensive. So people go, I saw the, what are their names? The Thunderbolts yesterday. We're going to review it at 4:45. Every credit at the end was about everywhere they had filmed this thing outside of America and Georgia. Also in British Columbia, because you get tax incentives, because you can do things for cheaper. You want to make movies cheaper. The answer is not to tariff American movies being made elsewhere. You're going to kill the film industry by doing that. The answer to that is to say, how do we make movies made cheaper here in the U.S. so you don't have to go to those other countries? What this really is a nod to SAG and SAG-AFTRA and all the other unions here. It's almost like Trump is trying to say, hey, can I get back in the club? I used to be a member of the club. Can you let me back in? This is not smart. And here's something else. While we are busy having the arguments and the fights over this, there are real things going on. Today, I was so disappointed, so disappointed. You've got the announcement that we're going to be paying illegal immigrants to leave, which I'm fine with. We're going to discuss that at 3:30 today. And they announced that Donald Trump's going to be having a press conference today, but they don't say what it's about. I'm like, oh, maybe he'll talk about that. You've got the U.S. and Israel bombing the hell out of the Houthi rebels. Israel saying it's now going to take over all of Gaza. I thought Trump might talk about that. I thought he might talk about the tariffs. What's his big announcement today? That the NFL draft is going to be held in Washington, D.C. Now, I know our president is the master of, look at this shiny object over here so you don't see what I'm doing over there. But unlike last time, I'm not seeing what's happening over here right now. Has there been a lot of progress? Yes. But as James Carville says, it's the economy. And if we don't fix the economic issues, here's what's going to happen. You want the worst case scenario for a second? Here's the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is the Democrats take back the Senate and the House in the 2026 midterms. Immediately, they launch into impeachment, and Donald Trump can't get anything done. So the entire Trump agenda, all the things we voted for, aren't going to happen. And then what happens in 2028? Because Trump can't get done his agenda, Democrats get to run on, we stopped his agenda, he didn't get it done, look, the economy's not where it should be, et cetera, and they win the White House also. And who's looking to run this time? Bernie Sanders and AOC. You think that's the worst case scenario? Yeah, it really, really is. I want the Trump agenda to be successful. I want America to be great again. I want all those things we were promised, which is why we voted for the guy. And I'm concerned day by day we have a limited amount of time to get that done, and I'm not seeing it happen. You may disagree with me. You may agree with me. You give me a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Ron in Tacoma. Ron, what's up?
Well, I will remind you that the Democrat Party are the eat the poisonous cake party. They would love to have you eat China cake and just suck it up, buttercup. I didn't forget about the last 4 years. I'm not going to let 4 months deter me of the next 4 years of what the Democrat Party has already made everything unaffordable to begin with. So I'm not seeing people going to be fooled by that. But I did have some good information from Washington today, and I'm not sure if you were going to cover that. I remember seeing some rumbles from Doge where he posted his face with a Washington State flag saying, is Washington State next? Elon Musk on the picture, of course. And then all of a sudden over the weekend, I hear two very interesting things. I hear that the White House tells Washington State to hold on tight. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, it was on my show they did that. I'm the one who did that. That was on Monday, buddy.
Yeah,
Losing you there, Ron. Ron, you're breaking up. You give us a call back at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Yes, we discussed last week many, many times how the cavalry is finally on the way with regard to what DEI, with regard to illegal immigration. But those are fights that are going to take some time. Those are fights that we need to have. Those are fights that are going to happen. Those are things we need to do in order to fix our educational system and such. But right now, the economy is what people are looking at. They don't care about what's going on in Israel. I do, but they don't. They don't care about what's going on with the trade war, except for the fact that it is making their lives more expensive when they're looking at certain things they want to buy for their kids, and they don't know how this ends. I'm saying is the easiest way out of this is to start announcing trade deals. And I know they take time to negotiate, but what's the holdup with all the guys who came running to us that said they will do it tomorrow? They will do it right away. What is the holdup right now? I am concerned about the effect that people like Peter Navarro are having on this administration. You agree with me? You disagree with me? Give me a call, 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from our friend Transit Joe. Transit Joe, make it quick. I got a break coming up, buddy.
Yeah, I gotta be quick too, buddy. But I think America is already great, and I think America is great because we're able to talk to each other. America is great because of our Constitution, our military, our elections, air shows, obviously, public transit. The list goes on of why America is already great. But I will say a word of caution that if these democratic socialists like Bernie the Butthead and AOC get in, that's it.
But the problem is a lot of people are going to vote for them if they want a different choice. And when you say things like, oh, well, you only need $2 instead of 40, that sounds a lot like another side of the aisle. That doesn't sound like things Republicans typically say. Joe, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, maybe we do need an Alcatraz because a criminal escaped from SeaTac via the light rail? We'll give you all details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. This is one of the craziest stories I've seen, and maybe this makes Donald Trump right for wanting an Alcatraz. How does a guy escape from custody while boarding an airplane and then escape via the light rail? What is he, Dr. Richard Kimball? And he's able to get on the train, and then he sees the one-armed man, and he's got to get off the train, and who shot the cop, and oh no. Really?
You find that man.
You find that man.
Find that man. Find that man.
According to Como News, an inmate escaped custody at SeaTac on Sunday morning, prompting a search by authorities. Port of Seattle police reported that the incident occurred around 11 a.m. when a contracted agent was attempting to transport 28-year-old Cedric T. Stevenson to Bowling Green, Kentucky, to be booked for several warrants. By the way, I love that they come here. So you're out on warrants. Where are we going to go to hide? Let's go to Seattle. We can hide. They'll give us a phone. They'll give us gift cards. They'll give us drugs. They'll give us whatever we want. Oh, wait. Sanctuary City. Doesn't matter if it's legal, illegal. They release everybody there. Yeah, let's go hide in Seattle. During the check-in process at a ticket counter, Stevenson managed to flee toward the light rail station. Can we stop for a second? I have questions right now. Mike, maybe you can walk this through with me for a second. When was the last time you went to a ticket counter at an airport? These days, you check in on your mobile phone, and if you have luggage, you got to drop it off with a person. But why would the person have luggage? I would assume the agent doesn't have luggage because they need their hands free. Also, I would assume the criminal doesn't have luggage because who gives a crap what they have? So why are you going to the ticket counter? Here's something else. One agent? Why not two? One person can be overpowered by one person. A lot harder to overpower two people. I have questions here. Despite efforts by the agents to capture him, Stevenson successfully boarded a northbound light rail train. Now, I don't know what airline this person was on, but can we just back up for a second here about the layout of SeaTac Airport for a second? So, at SeaTac Airport, you got to go up escalators across multiple walkways to get to where the light rail station is, which means you couldn't catch him before then? That's a long way to run. How out of shape were these agents? They couldn't catch him before then. Also, the light rail just happened to be there. That's coincidental timing. Also, why couldn't you call the light rail and say, stop the train? We have an escaped fugitive on the train. I have many questions about this entire case. Many questions. Stevenson is described as 5 feet, 8 inches tall with dreadlocks. He is wanted for second-degree escape. I think he's also wanted on a whole bunch of other charges, including accused of shooting at a Tennessee police officer following a robbery. Are we going to find this guy in some dungeon somewhere where he's having his handcuffs? Oh, yeah, by the way, he did this while handcuffed. He was handcuffed, so you can't run really fast when you don't have your arms available. And they still couldn't take this guy out? But then, are we going to find him in some dungeon somewhere like Schwarzenegger in Running Man, where they're having the collars blown off their necks so their heads don't explode from the escape? Is that what we got to find? Who's picking the handcuffs for him? Where do you think this guy's going to turn up? Homeless encampment? City-run homeless encampment? City-run tiny home village? Or maybe one of our hotels? Maybe a city-run apartment? Where do you think this guy's going to turn up if they actually catch him? We got to find him on transit, perhaps? Oh, Mike's got an idea.
He's going to make it all the way to Kirkland.
There you go.
And end up in that old La Quinta.
That's what it is.
Like
He's going to be right there.
Yeah.
Or you know what it is? He's going to be waiting at the end of the light rail going, I thought this went all the way to Bellevue.
Yeah.
I thought this went across the lake. What's going on here?
He's 2028. Dang it.
Oh, very good. Very good. Lots more to discuss as the show continues. When we come back, your calls, your texts, plus Cory Booker makes the case for defunding NPR by using the West Wing? Yeah, this actually happened this weekend. We'll give you all details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Can we be real for a second that there's no way the federal government is going to find every single illegal immigrant here living in the U.S.? We can be real about that, right? We want them to, but realistically, it's a really big country. There's a lot of people, and it's really hard to find every single one of them. So there's a new idea. The Department of Homeland Security is going to pay for the flights of illegal aliens who choose to self-deport, plus give them a $1,000 stipend for self-deporters once they're confirmed gone. The cost breakdown of finding and deporting illegals is $17,000 per illegal, but for an illegal to self-deport, it's about $4,500. That sounds like a good deal to me. What they're trying to do is say, look, you want to come back legally. In fact, you had Kristi Noem, and you had every other member of the administration saying the exact same thing today. Now, do I like the idea of paying the illegal immigrants? No. But Joe Biden incentivized them to stay. So, spending $17,000 or spending $4,500, that's a no-brainer. Question is, you think gang members are going to go for that? No, of course not. They have their criminal operations here that get them a whole lot more of money. I think that's going to get people off of social services, which is what they're going for, because realize somebody who's taking advantage of the housing services and the medical services and the Social Security services or anything else that's around here, and yes, we found the illegal immigrants on the Social Security rolls, that's costing us tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars per illegal immigrant. So that's the goal behind this. Do you like this plan? Do you dislike this plan? I love that Biden's app got turned into the self-deporting app, the Home One app. I love that. Do you agree with this plan? Do you disagree with this plan? Give me a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Meanwhile, Senator Cory Booker was up to his game of stupid this weekend. So there's a famous episode of The West Wing where Toby Ziegler, who works for the White House, is arguing with some people who are Republicans who want to cut the budget for PBS. Let's not forget the West Wing went off the air in, 2006 or something? So yeah, this budget has been going on for a long, long time. So here's the clip where they're discussing the same thing I've discussed many times. The Muppets, Sesame Street, make all this money for PBS, and yet why do we need to subsidize that as taxpayers?
We like PBS, but we also work for congressmen who have constituencies that want to know why the federal government is subsidizing television for rich people.
It's not television for rich people.
Oh, Toby.
It's not television for rich people. In fact, the public television audience is a fairly accurate reflection of the social and economic makeup of the United States. 1/4 of the PBS audience is in households with incomes lower than $20,000 a year. Blacks comprise 11% of the public television audience, and blacks comprise 11% of the commercial TV audience. 47% of PBS viewers have a high school education or less, which is 1% better than the commercial TV audience. So what are you talking to me about?
Product licensing for Big Bird dolls and Fuzzy Bear toys?
Fuzzy Bear.
Oh, whatever.
It's Fuzzy Bear, not Fuzzy Bear.
Product licensing for this merchandise brings in over $20 million a year, none of which goes to PBS, all of which goes to the show's producer, the Children's Television Workshop. Now, this is a company whose chief executive earns high six figures in salary and benefits per year, yet Sesame Street is subsidized by taxpayer dollars.
It's a perfectly reasonable complaint.
And?
I don't care.
So
we're going to see to all those things. In the meantime, at a time when the public is rightly concerned about the impact of sex and violence on TV, this administration is going to protect the Muppets. We're going to protect Wall Street Week. We're going to protect Live from Lincoln Center. And by God, we are going to protect Julia Child.
You don't need to protect those shows. He said he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He goes, it's a perfectly reasonable argument. I don't care because we're going to protect all this stuff. How come every other station, whether it's MSNBC or CNN or anybody else, doesn't get government funding? Everybody doesn't get government funding except for PBS, which generates millions, if not billions of dollars because of Elmo. Just Elmo. I don't think anybody's really buying Fozzie Bear toys anymore. But Elmo, they're still buying that, dude. The Tickle Me Elmo, all the other things. You know how much money they're making from the digital downloads and the movies of these characters? My God. But he literally says it right there. I don't care. That Democrat policy has not changed. And Cory Booker spent the weekend using this clip to try and justify why we should keep funding NPR and PBS. This own clip shows that you shouldn't keep funding NPR and PBS, because it's the same argument we'll all make. If you're making millions, if not billions of dollars by now in merchandising, why should we subsidize that? We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Joe in Seward Park, my neighborhood. Joe, what's going on?
Hey, Ari, great job. Great show.
Thank you.
Yeah. Your last segment or a couple segments ago, you were talking about the tariffs and how people are complaining about pricing going up. And, yeah, it's going to go up for a while, but the idea is to get it back down to a normal base. But I'm curious why they didn't show their ire and angst against all the crazy tax increases.
That's a great point. I mean, the thing is the hypocrisy of on the left where they're now mad about the tariffs, but they weren't mad about inflation. They weren't mad about the amount of spending that was causing inflation to go up. They weren't mad about the taxing. Or here's something else, Joe, because I know you and I have spoken about this before. I recognize Joe's voice. He's a friend of mine. But why aren't they complaining about all the taxes the Democrats are putting on them here in Washington? Over $9 billion in taxes. And yet we don't hear the Seattle Times say anything about it. We don't hear any of the TV outlets say anything about it. And that's going to hurt us a lot more than any of these tariffs will.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would love somebody to explain to me, you increase the tax rate. The tax already goes up because people are spending more or they're making more or things are costing more because of inflation. So it's already going up. So the fact that they're actually adding on top of that means it's going up exponentially. It's crazy.
Exactly. Look at the gas prices for a second. 35 states have their gas prices going down. Here in Washington, in California, in Hawaii, the gas prices are going up. And they're going up and they're going up and they're going to continue to go up even as the other prices go down because of the Climate Commitment Act and all this green insanity that isn't actually helping the environment. And as if 50 cents a gallon that they levied on us last year wasn't bad enough through the Climate Commitment Act, now they just voted for another 6 to 9 cents per gallon, which is tied to inflation, which means it's going to go up for the rest of time. And I don't hear them complaining about that one, Joe, do you?
No. Crickets.
Exactly. Joe, appreciate the call. Great to hear from you, buddy. Thanks so much for calling the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, my friends, why does everybody who commit a crime get a GoFundMe to pay for their legal bills? That plus more of your calls, more of your texts. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, coming up at 4:45, your chance to win tickets to an advanced screening of Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, plus a Mission Impossible Final Reckoning prize pack. Yet another reason, always keep your radio tuned to 570 KVI, left on your dial, always right on the issues. You can also stream us at KVI.com, download the KVI app, and of course, subscribe to us on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Dave, who is in the foothills of California. Dave, what's going on?
Ari, I love your show. I never thought that from California I'd be reaching out to Seattle for some sanity, but there you are.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. Do they not have a me in California? Maybe I should get syndicated there.
Yeah, yes, I would agree. I got just a quick thing in regards to the question of whether or not I would agree with the offer to fly folks that are here illegally home and the $1,000 stipend. Yes, I would. And the tipping point for me is that I think equally to working to get people that are not here legally out, we need a deterrent. And I think that some of the efforts and things that are being done serve that purpose.
Yeah.
So that it will give people a second thought if they're thinking about, trying to break the law in the future. So that's my point.
I agree with you. It's an excellent point. It's an excellent, excellent point. And yes, you need that deterrent. You also need to say, hey, you need to say to everybody, hey, it's not the end of the world if we kick you out right now. You can come back and come back legally. So if you're really one of these people that wants to get a worker's visa or wants a student visa or any of that kind of stuff and wants to do it right, we're happy to have you. Happy to have you. It's the criminals we want to get rid of. It also shoots a hole in the narrative of the left that, he just wants to kick out anybody who's not white. Great call, Dave. Appreciate it. You stay safe while you're walking out there. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Leonard in Shoreline. Leonard, what's going on?
Hey, nothing much. Your last segment there regarding Mr. Stevenson escaping from SeaTac Airport going to Seattle.
Yeah.
You nailed it right on the head, because all Mr. Stevenson and especially other criminals can do is pick up a phone, pick up some money, pick up some and then pick up some drugs, and then by the time they get to Snohomish County tomorrow afternoon, if that phone has a police scanner app, they're going to find out that that police scanner has been encrypted and what's going to happen is police officers in that county are going to have their cars broken into and police radios stolen out of them, and that's what's going to lead to all kinds of trouble.
Well, the sun's coming out, so does that mean we're about to have riot season again? I mean, we saw what happened last weekend where they were kind of all excited about May Day, but it was mostly peaceful. So are we getting ready for that again? Because that's the last time I remember them stealing guns out of cop cars, etc. Leonard, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Forrest Cat says over on the Warrior text line, low-income Washington senior homeowner, not worried about Trump's tariffs, but Olympia Democrats' tax mania gives me nightmares. That's just like what our caller Joe was saying, the exact same kind of thing. There is this huge double standard where if you look at the front page of the Seattle Times, or you look at Como News, or you look at Fox 13, or you look at King 5, or you look at Cairo 7, you look at any of the mainstream media outlets around here, they are barely talking about the massive amount of taxes we are about to get hit with. If Bob Ferguson signs that legislation this week, that is a $9 billion tax increase here in Washington. We're going to actually be discussing that coming up at 4:05 today. Also, right here from Rachel, she says, talking of tariffs, Trump is thinking outside the box, a size of Central Park block. Kamala Harris couldn't think of this hallucinogenic fever dream. Yeah, I think you're 100% right. 100% right. Yeah, and here's the other thing. A lot of you are saying, yes, I see how it's coming down the road. I see where we're going to. I get that. The point I am trying to make, if I wasn't clear before, is that a lot of people do not listen to the show, unfortunately. And they're not thinking long-term. They're thinking short-term. They can't get what they need for their kids now. But also there are a lot of business owners who are hurting right now. We're not giving relief to them. I know what it's like to be a business owner who's hurting because of government. That's why I'm in the radio industry now, because my delivery business got destroyed by Jay Inslee. If we are going to impact these businesses as bad as we are because of the trade war or because of anything else, we need to find a way to make them whole and keep them alive if they're American businesses who are getting hurt by this. Because a lot of people still need to pay for their families and such. Yet, apparently, if you're a criminal, you can just go on GoFundMe, and all of a sudden, your bills will be paid for you, no problem. Did you guys see this viral video about a woman in a park who starts calling some kid the N-word because he's rifling through her bags? He's a little 5-year-old kid. Look, 5-year-old kids, the terrible twos, that is not a thing. Parents know the terrible twos is not a thing, right? It's 3, 4, 5. They get into everything. Very curious. And these other parents were watching other kids, but this woman goes on this rant. Now this woman has a GoFundMe where she is asking for people to pay her legal bills, and she has to move because all of her information's been outed because this video went viral. Why is it when you do the wrong thing, you get to have a GoFundMe? That kid who allegedly stabbed the other kid at the track meet a couple weeks ago, he has a GoFundMe that's raised over $500,000, which is bonkers crazy. Why does he get a GoFundMe to pay for all that stuff when he allegedly stabbed somebody? Unbelievable, the society we're living in right now. We want to fix something? Let's do something about the legal system right now that you can have all this going on. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, Bob Ferguson could be signing that budget as early as this week. How bad are the taxes going to be for you? We'll discuss that plus a whole lot more. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and on the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up at 4:45, our Real Deal giveaway, your chance to win tickets to an advanced screening of Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, and a prize pack. But before we get to any of that, my friends, there is a report from Como News that Governor Bob Ferguson could sign the Democrats' new nearly $78 billion two-year budget this week. Now, I do like when Como News has these polls up. What do you think? What do you not think? We're going to yell at them about one of their polls they did later in the show. But the one they have here, I like very much. Do you think Governor Ferguson should sign the Democrats' new budget? Still not sure. 3%. Yes. 6%. No. 91%. Now, Como News is not my little black book of the right-wing media conspiracy. We like their reporting. We take them to task when they deserve it. But they are definitely not a conservative media outlet. I know a lot of you are going to say, Sinclair. No, guys, they're not. And yet 91% of the people who read Como News think he should not sign this budget. Now, Ferguson promised to go line by line through the budget before signing it. Is he actually going to do that? I find that very, very unlikely. The budget includes $8.7 billion in new taxes, close to close a $16 billion budget shortfall. No, Como, that is not what it includes. It includes $8.7 billion in new taxes to cover new spending. It's to cover the Democrats' out-of-control spending. There is no shortfall. It also includes a $7.5 billion capital improvement plan funding construction and infrastructure projects across the state. This was something that just drove me bonkers crazy. Today, I got a whole bunch of press releases from Republicans taking victory laps on the spending. Guys, I know you fought hard for your districts, and some things need to be spending money on, but you can't say we shouldn't be spending all this money and wasting all this money and then crowing about how much money you got for your districts. It defeats the optics of the situation. The plan marks an investment in affordable housing, public school construction, the protection of natural resources. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't. You guys are blowing all this money on other things, so you don't have the money for those items. So, the new taxes hit businesses in particular, including raising two businesses and occupation tax rates on the banks. Another applies to retail sales tax to services the state hadn't targeted before, like temporary staffing, security, and advertising. The transportation funding plan, passed with bipartisan support, includes a $15.5 billion allocation for highway projects, road repair, and the state ferry system. Where was all the money beforehand? Where was all the money we had for that beforehand? You need to raise taxes to do this? The optics of this, of crowing about this, my Republican friends, are not good. You're the ones who fought so hard against all this, and now you're saying, look, I brought home the bacon for my district. It's not good optics, especially when we're about to be hit with more gas taxes that are going to make things more expensive. In fact, they're about to tax everything under the sun. By law, Washington must have a balanced budget. So if he doesn't sign the budget, boom, we're into a new legislative session. We're going to have an unscheduled legislative session. Question is, I wonder if he's going to do this, Mike. I wonder if he's going to do some math and say, here's the $4 billion in cuts I want. I'm going to make these $4 billion worth of cuts, and I'm going to offset that by lowering taxes in other places. That way he can claim to be bipartisan. Nobody wants another legislative session, or is he actually going to call them all back? Now, meanwhile, while all this insanity is going on, with how much money we're spending on dumb things, Doge Washington has some new things that they found about what we're spending money on, and specifically art. Why are we spending money on anybody's art? I don't care who they are. This one here from Doge Washington, Wake Up Wah on Twitter. Amid a $16 billion deficit and record tax increases on Washingtonians, the Democrat-controlled legislature gave $20,000 to an out-of-state artist, Sarah Sistream, so they could hang her art at Des Moines Elementary School. I will tell you what this art looks like. It's called Fish Dreams. It looks like some kid had a black marker and doodled on a paper in class. That is what it looks like. This is garbage. Another one that this person made looks like somebody drew on a window while it was raining. That's what this art looks like. Hey, if you're getting $20,000 for that, I can do art. I can do art for half that. I'll do $10,000 a painting. You want to give me that kind of money? It's dumb. It's stupid. They said they also gave $17,000 to an artist named Kate Jessup. Kate hates Trump and white people, so she fits into the demographic for free government money pretty well, according to Doge Washington. Why are we spending any money on this art whatsoever, by the way? I remember when Seattle was spending money paying people to write anti-Semitic articles for publication for their website. Why are we wasting money on this? Perhaps maybe before hitting everybody with $9.5 billion in taxes, we might want to look at our own spending. Here's one for you, also from Como News. The Washington County's Insurance Fund acknowledges tens of thousands of dollars of public funding has gone missing due to a lack of oversight. It comes after the state auditor completed a fraud investigation in the department after a finance manager noticed a discrepancy of more than $123,000. The fund is a public entity and manages public money because the funds come from government, described Kathleen Cooper of the Washington State Auditor's Office. Rather than each county buying insurance policies individually through insurance companies, state law allows governments to pool their resources together to form a risk pool. The SAO started investigating last year after the WCIF finance manager was fired following not one but two issues with the department. The WCIF had lost money in a phishing scheme, according to the investigation, and said there were other workplace-related issues. When a new manager took over, she noticed more money had been misappropriated. This had gone on for so long, according to the SAO, because the WCIF had limited oversight or internal controls. What did Cooper say? There were not enough reviews or secondary reviews. Mike, are there any reviews of Homeless Inc. at all? I don't know about a single audit that's even been done. When we ask them, exactly. When we ask them if they've done an audit, every single time it's, we'll get to that. You know what, Mike, actually, it's been about 2 months since Mark Solomon became a Seattle City Council member. Perhaps it's time to ask him when that audit of Homeless Inc. is coming. I think it's about time to check in. We'll check in with the Seattle City Council and ask them what's going on with that audit because they're going to do whatever Washington State does. If Washington State hits everybody with a whole bunch of taxes to fix their budget problems, Seattle City Council is going to do the exact same thing. The money has still not been recovered. The Thurston County Prosecutor's Office has since charged Anthony Matagi with fraud. No one was in the Tumwater office on Friday, but a woman who answered the phone said the staff was at a benefits retreat. Okay. Anybody in the corporate world, can we discuss this for a second? I've learned about all this stuff since working here at KVI. So thank God I've got my own family businesses and that pays for my insurance. I don't get insurance locally. I don't get insurance from the company. I know that my coworkers who do get insurance from the company, sometimes it's hard to understand. Sometimes you need a Zoom meeting with HR. Sometimes you need some slides from HR. Sometimes you need directions from HR. Sometimes you need a phone call with HR. Do you need a benefits retreat on the taxpayer dollars? Oh, let's all go away for a retreat together.
How about no?
Exactly, Dr. Evil. Dr. Evil knows how to run a tight ship. If somebody isn't pulling their weight, he drops them down into that fiery pit. They don't always die, but then they might need more health insurance. So he sends down the guy to shoot them down in the basement. In a lengthy statement to Como News, the WCIF's interim executive director, Bridget Lockling, acknowledged the issue and wrote in part, unfortunately, the finance manager took advantage of his role to make additional payroll payments to himself. It wasn't until after he was terminated for other work performance issues that these payments were discovered. Wait a second. Can we stop for a second? Who's signing the checks for this guy? Who's the oversight? You don't have 2 signatures on these things. You don't have 3 signatures. You don't wonder why this person's getting more money than anybody else. Who's auditing your books? Who's your internal accountant? Who's your comptroller? Who's doing any of this? Are we really back to 2020 where the Nigerian scammers can just defraud the state unemployment agency and they don't really notice at first? Insane. The new finance manager quickly identified the transactions and notified the bank and authorities. Why didn't somebody see it beforehand? The internal control weaknesses identified by the SAO have been addressed, and there is now substantial oversight, reviews, and approvals in place. Why wasn't it there beforehand? How old is Washington State? What, like over 100 years old or something at this point? Are you guys crazy and you don't have this stuff in place? You don't realize how ripe for fraud you were? The funds lost should be recaptured through restitution depending on the trial. You think you're going to get this money back from restitution? Give me a break. You're never seeing that money again. Or through an insurance claim. Oh, so then your insurance rates go up and we're the ones paying for it? The loss of these funds does not affect the clients, and there will be no impact on insurance rates or fees. If you believe that, I have 2 bridges running over Lake Washington that I would like to sell you right now. This loss does not jeopardize the stability of the organization. Really? I don't believe you at all. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Charles and Graham. Charles, what's up, man?
Hey there, brother. This thing with the tariffs and the proposed 3% property tax.
Yeah.
That they're looking at. Well, I'm on a fixed income. I'm a disabled veteran on a fixed income. And my property taxes right now are about $5,400 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's 3% instead of 1%, that makes it close to $16,000 per year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it would take me 4 months to save up that money, pay some bills, but 4 months to save up that much money to pay my property taxes.
Yep. And
I would just as soon sell my house and get an RV and just say I'm done with it, because it's the insanity that has been going on in Washington State. I tell you, they would be better off hiring a team of proctologists to take care of their issues.
I'll tell you this, Charles, you're 100% right, and a lot of people are having the exact same discussion. Here's something else. When people buy those houses, the property taxes go up even more because the house is going to sell for more than you bought it for, which means they're going to assess it at a higher value, which means they're going to assess your neighbors' houses at higher values, which means all their property taxes are then going to go up higher and higher and higher. And, Charles, I'll tell you, I've had this conversation with a lot of people recently who are talking about getting out of Washington State because they're not sure they can afford to stay here. There is a county in California. I have to do some research into which one it was. I heard this report some time ago, where there's a county in California where you don't get to up the rate of the taxes on somebody once they buy the house. It's just, that's what it is. What you bought it for, that's what it is, because they're very aware that it's a senior-heavy community, and they don't want people being priced out of their homes. But Washington would never do something like that, right? Yeah, see, he's laughing at me. He's laughing at me. My own audience member is laughing at me on air.
No, brother. No. I'm not laughing at you, buddy. I am laughing with you.
There you go. Exactly right. Exactly right. Charles, appreciate the call. I truly hear where you're coming from, and I'm really sorry you have to deal with that right now, my friend. We'll see if Bob Ferguson actually signs this thing. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Front page article of the Seattle Times caught my eye today. Why? Dead center. In it is 13 lawsuits in 100 days. Washington Attorney General Nick Brown takes on, quote unquote, a lawless president. Can we back up a second here before I even read this dumb article by David Gutman that's going to be a puff piece about how Nick Brown is saving democracy? By the way, I purposely did not read this stupidity before this segment because I want to react to it in real time. A lawless president. Last time I checked, Nick Brown is bragging about the fact that he doesn't want to enforce immigration law, that he wants to continue discriminating against people with DEI contrary to the Civil Rights Act. How many other laws have we caught them violating around here? So, a lawless president? We have a lawless attorney general. Nick, Bubby, you swore to uphold the Constitution, and you are making your PR moves based on violating it. All right, what did Gutman have to say here? At this time, in 2017, roughly 100 days into President Donald Trump's first term, the state of Washington had sued the Trump administration twice. This year, roughly 100 days into President Donald Trump's second term, the state of Washington has sued the Trump administration 13 times. Right away, you're full of it, Mr. Gutman. I'm going to tell you why. Most of those lawsuits, we didn't file. We just hopped on board with somebody else's work. See, what the Democrats are doing this time is they're saying, okay, you do this one, we'll do this one. Where's the friendly judge to this? Where's the friendly judge to that? It's smart. It's very, very smart. But at the same time, these are not all Nick Brown. This is a lot of him going along with the flow. And also his buddy, Turd Ferguson, who pioneered this move.
Turd Ferguson.
Exactly, to become governor of Washington State, said, hey, you want to be governor one day, you know what you got to do? Sue the Trump administration, because the dum-dums in Washington State will love you for it. And this is how you can become governor after me. So here's what David Gutman writes. The boom in litigation follows Trump's unprecedented use of executive actions to start his term. Mike, do you seem to remember when Joe Biden got into office and what was sitting on his desk waiting for him? Yes, you remember what that was. The stacks of executive orders to the ceiling?
Yes.
It was taller than Joe Biden himself.
I felt like a stiff breeze was going to make it fall over. It's like the end of one of them Hoarders episodes. Oh, no, underneath all the papers. Oh, my God. Dr. Jill, help me, Dr. Jill. Suffocating under all these papers.
I'm just going to go sleep right here. I'm just going to go sleep. This is real cozy. Cozy-like. I'm like a real American. I'm going to go sleep right here. That's what it was. I think the stack was taller than the guy handing him each one by one. I think the stack was taller than that. Unbelievable. As he has sought to remake American government, slashing spending, oh, how dare he. Dismantling federal agencies, oh, how dare he. Targeting his political and legal opponents. Has he put anybody in jail yet? Has he filed charges on anybody yet? And redefining what it means to be an American citizen. Yeah, this is non-biased reporting at its absolutely best, don't you think? Oh, what else would we expect from the Seattle Times, by the way? Yeah, not covering the budget stuff. All that's hunky-dory. In fact, the majority of things the Seattle Times covered today, let's just go to their front page for a second here. The majority of stories on the front page of the Seattle Times are all about Donald Trump. Not about the taxes in Washington, not about the crime in Washington, not about the problems in Washington, but about Donald Trump. You want Trump derangement syndrome? Just look at the front page of the Seattle Times. When we come back, my friends, so much more to discuss, including how the right has fallen for Iranian propaganda. Yeah, they did, my friends, and it's really, really sad. We'll give you all details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I saw a lot of social media posts over the weekend talking about House Resolution 867. And it was clear to me that somebody had gotten talking points and everybody else on the right, whether they were in Congress, whether they were influencers, whether they were well-respected voices, were repeating these false talking points. So let me tell you what it is. A whole bunch of people were convinced there was some freedom of speech aspect that Americans who boycotted Israel were going to be thrown in jail for boycotting Israel. So a lot of the America First type people came out and said, even if we disagree with them and we like Israel, everybody gets freedom of speech, no matter how terrible it is, and you should vote against H.R. 867. Except they all got played by Iran. Leslie Kajamovitz does a great job over on her Substack. She does a great job with things like this. She covers the UN a lot. And she wrote a new article, How America First Got Played by an Iranian propaganda on anti-boycott bill H.R. 867. She says, H.R. 867 is one page long. Yet somehow a small amendment to the U.S. anti-boycott law became the center of a manufactured foreign propaganda campaign, sparking outrage over imaginary jail time for Americans who wish to boycott Israel. The reality? The bill doesn't criminalize anything, doesn't restrict individual speech, and doesn't impose penalties of any kind. Mike makes fun of me when he knows I haven't read an article and I talk about it on air, or where I haven't read a bill, or I haven't read the contest giveaways or anything else, and I deserve it every single time. In fact, Mr. KVI is nodding his head right now going, yep, I know that Hoffman does that. In his next employee performance review, we're going to be like, dude, is it so hard to read the copy? He prints it out for you. He puts it right in front of you. Yes, I know. I am guilty of this too. But in this case, nobody read the bill. And I know nobody read the bill, and instead they read the talking points, because if they had read the bill, it doesn't say any of the stuff they were spouting. What does it do? It updates the 2018 U.S. anti-boycott laws, which already prohibit Americans from complying with foreign government-sponsored boycotts of Israel, to also apply to intergovernmental organizations like the United Nations and European Union. The message: foreign governments and institutions can't coerce U.S. companies into participating in anti-Israel boycotts. That's it. No criminal provisions, no fines, no targeting of private citizens, just a clarification of scope within an existing trade policy. So what it actually does is just modify what's already there to clarify it. It's already law. So how America First got played by Iranian propaganda on H.R. 867. She writes, the disinformation campaign seems to begin with Press TV, the Iranian state-controlled propaganda outlet, which published an article on May 2nd, which falsely claimed the bill would punish Americans for boycotting Israel with prison and million-dollar fines. The framing was intentionally inflammatory and entirely false. Lara Friedman, head of the Foundation for Middle East Peace, repeated the same misleading narrative a few hours later, lending it credibility in progressive and policy circles. From there, the narrative moved to DropSite, a fringe publication tied to individuals with known connections to Hamas who retweeted Lara Friedman's post. The DropSite amplified the lie that H.R. 867 would restrict free speech and criminalize dissent, knowing full well that American audiences, especially in activist and fringe right spaces, would take the bait. Next came the Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE, an organization with documented historical ties to the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas-affiliated networks. CARE launched a full-blown campaign to pressure lawmakers into voting against H.R. 867. CARE organized outreach to Congress, mobilized followers, and flooded social media with disinformation. Rather than verify the bill's text, several America First Republicans joined the outrage mob. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, and Anna Paulina Luna all announced their opposition to H.R. 867, citing the exact same false claims promoted by Iranian state media, Hamas-linked journalists, and CARE. Conservative influencers joined the pile-on also, amplifying the disinformation without reading the legislation. They opted for outrage over research, is what Leslie writes here. For a movement supposedly devoted to fighting foreign influence and standing against radical Islamic networks, the irony is inescapable that these people uncritically parroted Iranian Hamas-linked and Muslim Brotherhood narratives to millions of people all over a one-page bill that they didn't read. They could have read it in 5 minutes. Instead, they echoed foreign propaganda. Leslie writes, the real problem is credibility isn't freefall. When U.S. representatives and leading influencers are so easily manipulated by hostile foreign propaganda from Iran, Hamas affiliates, and the Muslim Brotherhood-linked groups like CARE, we don't just have a political problem, we have a national security vulnerability. U.S. law should not be shaped by lies from America's adversaries. Oppose the bill if you want, but don't lie. Read the bill. It's 1 page. That's your entire job. Now, I'm disappointed by Anna Paulina Luna, who I actually like and respect. MTG, Thomas Massey, no surprises at all. I'm also disappointed by a lot of people in conservative world who are tweeting about this over the weekend because it's clear they didn't read the bill. My friends, having got in trouble enough times for not reading the thing that was put right in front of me, it takes you 5 extra minutes. And it's better to be right than be first. And a lot of people are going to be eating crow once they realize what happened here, how they were manipulated by Iranian state-sponsored propaganda. Why? To boycott Israel. Do I think these people are anti-Semitic? And by that I mean the representatives? No. I just think they did something dumb because they saw it as an easy way to say, yep, even people we disagree with have the right for freedom of speech. They got played by Iran. Got played by Iran. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, our friend, Deputy Mayor of Bellevue, Jared Neuenhuis, is running for re-election. We're going to tell you why you should support him and how we can stop Bellevue from becoming Seattle. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. My friends, we always say that if you want to get away from Seattle but still stay in Washington State, the place that hasn't lost its mind is Bellevue. And one of the reasons Bellevue has not lost its mind is because it is still friendly to the business community. It still says we don't want to tax you out of your house and home. It knows how to deal with homelessness. It's actually a well-run city for the most part. And a lot of that is due to our friend, who is right now the deputy mayor of Bellevue, Jared Neuenhuis, and he is running again for re-election on the Bellevue City Council, and he joins us now on the KVI studio line. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Ari. Always a pleasure.
We love having you because, as I say all the time, you are one of my, if not my favorite politician in Washington State. And that's because not only do we get along as friends, but you also have a common sense approach where you say, hey, public safety is important. Maybe we should emphasize this, right?
I know, crazy, right? Unfortunately, common sense is not always all that common, but we want to keep it here in Bellevue for sure.
Yeah, and it seems also that the business-friendly atmosphere has worked for you guys. So, for example, Amazon picked up its roots out of Seattle, moved on over to Bellevue. It was so successful, as a matter of fact, in doing that now Washington State wants to scare them out of the state. I mean, tax them, right? That's what they want to do? Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%, and that's what worries us. Not only as an individual, but also as a council. So some of the things that we don't have control over, right? Some of those state mandates or state taxes that could impact our business community. You're exactly right. I mean, the reason that Amazon decided to make Bellevue home was because of our business-friendly environment, and we weren't looking to specifically hurt them through different types of taxes, like the payroll tax, right? Or so it's very frustrating when we see those types of taxes being debated down in Olympia that would damage our business environment, and these companies would be looking not only to move away from Bellevue, but you're right on point. They would leave the entire state.
Well, it's also, think about the businesses that rely on those businesses. So if you go to South Lake Union right now, where Amazon used to be, there's a lot of empty storefronts. In Seattle, there's a lot of empty storefronts because all these companies have left. So the barbershops, the grocery stores, whatever it is that opened because it was serving the Amazonians now has gone on over to Bellevue, which is why you guys have full occupancy and Seattle has a massive vacancy rate.
That's right. 100%. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that it's like a whole ecosystem, right? Once you bring some of those major employers, it facilitates and grows a lot of the small businesses to support those large businesses, and it could be anything from dry cleaning to cafes and restaurants. So all of that there to support that base of employees.
So moving and switching gears for a minute here, you're very lucky so far that the light rail's not up and running in parts of Bellevue. I mean, we keep talking about it going across, but at the same time, you guys have managed to not have the homeless problems of Seattle. As soon as that thing opens, that problem is going to start migrating east. Are you guys prepared for that?
Well, I believe so. I mean, one of my accomplishments that I point to is that not only did I spearhead the budget initiative to fully fund our Bellevue Police Department, but also we grew the headcount of our officers, and I'm really proud of the new light rail police unit that I was able to get over the finish line and create. Because just for that reason, Ari, we didn't want to take any chances. We wanted to make sure that if you're taking light rail in Bellevue, that you're going to be safe, no matter what time of day that you're taking light rail. We want you to feel safe and be safe. When I started digging into some of the response times around Seattle and some of the other outlying areas, it was really concerning. Unfortunately, King County has some limitations there, and personally, I don't think you can always count on that private security to really be there for an individual or for a family if things go south. So that is our way of being very proactive to ensure that when light rail does open up in Bellevue, and it is open now, but it only goes to Redmond, right? So not that much happens.
Yeah.
But when we do go across the lake, we want to ensure that the families are staying safe when they're taking light rail.
Yeah, I think that's a great approach, and unfortunately, a lot of other places in King County don't have that approach. In the last few minutes we have with Jared Neuenhuis, who is the Deputy Mayor of Bellevue, running for re-election on the Bellevue City Council, good personal friend of the show, and just an all-around great guy. There's something that's very important to me that you have been very effective at, and that's combating anti-Semitism. Bellevue was the first city, if I'm not mistaken, in Washington State to pass the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism. Unfortunately, a lot of other places fought it kicking and screaming because it calls out anti-Semitism as anti-Semitism with no caveats on anything else. And you took a lot of heat for that, but you did it for a really personal reason, and I'd love for you to share it with everybody.
Oh, sure. No, correct. We were able to pass the IRA definition of anti-Semitism, and this was before October 7th, when we already saw anti-Semitism rates, going to levels that this country hasn't seen since the 1970s. But the personal story is just, I'm a first-generation American. My parents immigrated to the United States from the Netherlands, and as a young kid, as a child, going back, hearing the stories that I heard of Nazi occupation, what it did in terms of decimating and the horrific things that happened to Jewish families throughout the Netherlands. Just those stories just stayed with me, Ari. The stories that I heard that even today, people can point to homes. They were good. They hid the Jews from the Nazis. This house here, well, they collaborated with the Nazi, and that stain is still on them. Those stories are still being told. So I've always just been committed to never again. And when I see, even before October 7th, but even more after October 7th, when we see so much hate, disinformation, and unfortunately, there's a lot of uneducated students, not just here locally, although the University of Washington is a pretty good example of it, but throughout the country, where Jewish students are having to hide who they are, being physically blocked from going to class. I just never thought I would see that in the United States of America. And unfortunately, here we are. And I'm more than willing to put my political capital, my position as a leader in this community to push back against this type of hate, because nobody should be blocked from going to school or being who they want to be or who they truly are. It is despicable, and I just won't stand for it.
And this is why we love you so much, and this is why we fully support you, and this is why you should fully support Jared Neuenhuis for his reelection campaign in Bellevue. You can go to his website, which is jaredforbellevue.com. That's jaredforbellevue.com. Donate, volunteer, help him out. He's one of the very, very few with my full endorsement without any reservations whatsoever. He's not one of these people you have to go, well, the other guy's a little bit more right or a little bit more left or right. No, he has my full endorsement. He should have yours as well. Jared Neuenhuis, thank you so much for being with us today. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Ari. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues, including your chance to win fantabulous prizes as Mike and I review the latest movie, The Thunderbolts. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. When I don't trust my gut, bad things happen, and I end up in bad movies. So when the trailer for the Thunderbolts, Marvel's latest release, came out, I went, meh, whatever. It's all these B, C-list anti-heroes from mostly the TV shows. Mostly the TV shows that not everybody has seen, that they're trying to now make a new Avengers with. Now, some of these characters are perfectly fine. I think that the Black Widow's sister, Yelena, was very entertaining in the Hawkeye series. I think that Red Guardian was very entertaining in that Black Widow movie. But you put all this together, I like Bucky just fine. But most of you out there are going, what the hell is Hoffman talking about? You may not even know who some of these people are because you haven't seen where they came from. So right there, you got a problem where on-ramping to this movie is very, very difficult if you haven't seen all those shows. It drops you in assuming you know who these people are. And that's very tough for somebody not in the know. In addition to that, these characters have not built enough likability for me to want to watch an Avengers spin-off, reboot, whatever the hell you want to call this, with these people being the headliners for it. It's trying to be Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad, and the Suicide Squad sucked. We can all agree Harley Quinn was the best part of all those movies, but this isn't good enough to even be there. And I was fooled because I saw a trailer for it in IMAX that had come out 6 months beforehand. And I go, well, this doesn't look half bad. And Mike was making fun of me at the time.
Stale trailer.
Stale trailer.
Trailer number one.
Right.
We're watching Warfare in IMAX. And Ari's like, and also, don't go to movies with Ari, by the way, because he will have commentary at the beginning and end of every trailer. I'm not going to see that. Oh, I'm going to see that. I'm not going. That looks bad. That looks good. This one's too big. This one's too small. I know. But anyway, so they roll this stale-ass trailer for Thunderbolts, and Ari suddenly out of nowhere, he's like, huh, I want to go see that.
Yes.
And so to my question is, why? Why did you go?
I don't know. I don't know. We knew it was going to be bad, but then the critics' reviews start coming in, and I'm like, why are all these people liking this movie? Okay, maybe it's actually good. Because I think the problem is, I'm like a Mariners fan. I want it to be good. I want them to be good because I love Marvel. But they haven't been good since what, Endgame? You've had a couple good ones along the way, maybe. I like the baby Spider-Man. Mike likes it fine, we'll say. You've got the Wolverine, Deadpool. Aside from that, has there really been anything good since that one? I'm missing something. Which
we
one?
do this literally every time.
Yes.
Literally every time.
Every time.
I will stand up for that Guardians 3.
Guardians 3,
That
great
one's
example.
legit good.
Guardians 3, legit good. And I will say I enjoyed Shang-Chi until the dragons at the end. I enjoyed that movie up until the end CG nonsense. I really did like that movie. But now we're getting all this. Now, here's another reason for NPR to be defunded. They thought this was one of the greatest movies of the year. Who the hell are you sending to this? My son, I basically had to beg him to go because he goes, Dad, this is going to be crap and I'm tired of this. I had to beg my teenage son to go. And we look at each other afterwards and we go, why did everybody say this thing was good? The marketing, and I went to Rotten Tomatoes. Normally when the critics say something is good and it's not good, the audience scores in the toilet, it's up in the 90s. Are they pumping something into the theaters to make everybody like this? It was garbage. It was trash. It was unoriginal. It was not fun. Now, I will say is that for me, a person who didn't read a lot of the comics these things are based on, maybe I missed a few things. I find it unlikely, though, because this was terrible. And as I told Mike, the entire second act was written by somebody in therapy. They are clearly going through something and need to work it out on film. It is twisted. It is weird. And I'm bored. I almost fell asleep twice during this movie. Mike knows the really bad ones are the ones I almost fall asleep during, where sometimes Mike will even catch a little Ari Hoffman snoring in the movie. It has happened before. This one, I just kept waiting for it to get good, and I kept giving it more and more chances. Here's how you know how bad it was. The theater I was in was full, which is rare these days. It was full. And afterwards, everybody was talking about how bad it was. And the only part that got an audience reaction at all was the second end credits scene, which was actually given away by something in the credits. They credited something, and you go, that wasn't in the movie. Oh, wait a minute. I'm about to see this in the end credits scene. This is a terrible movie. Avoid it. Marvel, take a break or something. Just take a break, regroup, get some new showrunners in. Because the worst thing about this was they ruined characters I liked, like Yelena, the Black Widow's sister, like the Red Guardian, who I found entertaining in that Black Widow movie. But it's terrible. It's awful. And I can't think of a single redeeming quality about the entire thing. I can't. Not Eternal's bad, but definitely not good.
That's actually what I was going to ask you about, because grading on the Hoffman scale,
yes,
of which where the Eternals is the worst thing in the history of ever, well documented, and whereas the Captain America Bold New Worlds, or whatever the name of that movie is, it is shrug fine. Where does this sit?
Captain America was better than this.
Oh, God.
Captain America was better than this. And you know what's crazy? A lot of the reviewers are like, Captain America, the most recent Captain America we're talking about, Captain America Brave New World was great, and this is even better. What are you people smoking? It is nowhere near as meh as the latest Captain America movie. And then you have this. So this is in the lower tier of Marvel. This one I didn't get mad at. I was disappointed in. Because I had heard such good things, and now I realize we were just lied to. It's a great marketing campaign where they tell you it's good.
Well, speaking of the marketing thing, they've changed the name of the movie.
They changed it. Now it's called The New Avengers. This is like a live, die, repeat Edge of Tomorrow situation. They need more people to go. That's how desperate they are. They call it The New Avengers. So you'll go to this movie? No, these are not The New Avengers. If these are The New Avengers, I'm going to find a new franchise to watch. Before I forget, your chance to win fantabulous prizes to a franchise Mike and I are definitely going to go check out. We are giving away 4 tickets to Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, and advanced screening, plus a prize pack. That's right. Tom Cruise is back as Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. It is in theaters.
One last time. I need you to trust me one last time.
One last time. It is in theaters on May 23rd. Check out the dozens of trailers on YouTube right now. All you have to do in order to win these fantabulous prizes and maybe see me and Mike at this screening is be caller number 10 at 206-421-5757, 206-421-5757. Caller number 10 wins 4 tickets to Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, an advanced screening, and a prize pack. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, including, are we about to see all-out war again in the Middle East? You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and on the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Congratulations to Kathy in Renton. You are the proud winner of 4 tickets to Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, an advanced screening plus a prize pack. Your next chance to win is coming up at 5:45 during our Good News giveaway with our Good News headlines. But before we get to any of that, do you guys realize what's happening in the Middle East right now? Because nobody is covering it. I'm shocked how little mainstream media coverage there is, and the coverage of it that there is super terrible. Let's go through what happened. I come out of the Sabbath Saturday night, as I always do. This time of year, I'm back online around 9:30-ish, something like that. And I see, because now it's Sunday morning in Israel, that a missile has hit Ben Gurion Airport right next to the runways themselves. It's right there. Hit the airport. At first it was it shrapnel? Was it a missile? Then videos come out and you go, no, that ain't shrapnel. That is a missile. And you start thinking to yourself, wait a second. Israel has the Iron Dome. Israel has all this other technology. How did a missile get through? Well, it turns out 27 missiles were fired by the Houthi rebels from Yemen, who are an Iranian terror proxy, at Israel. Israel was able to intercept 26 of them. One of them got through, luckily injuring nobody and hitting right near the airport. However, the problems this has caused are severe. Lots and lots of airlines have canceled their flights in and out of Ben Gurion because they're worried, is it safe or not? Air traffic was suspended. Flights were canceled. Flights were stuck on the tarmac at Ben Gurion Airport. If you attack an airport, that is an act of war, according to the official rules of engagement. That is an act of war. That's according to everybody. And yet, nobody heard anything about it? So, this whole time, Israel has been sitting back and letting the U.S. go after the Houthis, who are attacking trade in the Red Sea and attacking Israel. It's very reminiscent of the first Gulf War, when Saddam Hussein was launching Scud missiles. You remember Scuds versus Patriots? You remember all that fun? When Saddam Hussein was launching Scud missiles at Israel. Wait a second, what does Israel have to do with Kuwait? Nothing. I just don't like the Jews, so we're going to start launching rockets over at Israel. Crazy stuff. So they start launching rockets at Israel, and Israel says, Coach, put us in. Says this to George H.W. Bush. Coach, put us in. We want to go in. We want to fight Saddam Hussein with you. Let's not forget, Israel has a history with Saddam Hussein. One, he's awful. He's a terrible dictator. But two, Israel is the one that stopped Saddam Hussein from having nuclear weapons in 1980. Israel sent a bunch of fighter planes to bomb the Osirak reactor, which they were building to develop nuclear weapons, and Israel took it out. So Israel's saying, put us in, coach, during the Gulf War. And America said, we got this. We don't want to escalate things more. With you guys getting involved, that's going to bring in everybody else. No. We know there's missiles coming at you, but America's here. Don't worry, we got you. So the situation right now is very reminiscent of that, where the U.S. is doing a good job taking out the Houthi rebels, but not a good enough job. Because you know what? It's really hard to fight insurgents. It's really hard to fight rebels. It's really hard to fight them when they're in another country and they're fighting for dominance over that country. So what happens? Israel goes, okay, enough is enough. We're going in. So Israel apparently coordinated with the U.S. And originally the reports from Arab media were saying Israel and the U.S. were bombing the Houthi locations. No. It seems like now what actually was going on was that Israel was saying, we're going to go into the U.S., and the U.S. was saying, okay, don't hit our planes while you're going in. Here's where we are, here's where you are, and they were coordinating together. Because all of a sudden, if the U.S. is doing its operations and it sees a whole bunch of fighter planes, they're going to worry somebody's coming to attack them. So they're doing this in coordination with each other, not bombing together. At least that's the latest reports we have right now. Let's not forget that just last week, an aircraft carrier lost a fighter plane. A U.S. aircraft carrier lost a fighter plane overboard because it had to take evasive maneuvers when the Houthis were launching missiles at them. This is a very real threat. By the way, where's all the people talking about tariffs who aren't talking about how much our goods have gone up in the Red Sea because of this and how Joe Biden didn't do anything about that for over a year, for almost 2 years at this point? Didn't do anything about the Red Sea shipping, which was raising the cost of goods. Didn't say anything about that whatsoever. If Joe Biden wanted to bring down inflation, he could just take it out the Houthi rebels. Oh, wait, that would have upset Iran. Houthi rebels are an Iranian terror proxy. So Israel says, enough. We got Trump in the White House. We're not putting up with this nonsense anymore. And they said the real head of the snake is, of course, Iran. So Israel has a meeting of their Security Council, of their defense guys. And what did they decide over the weekend? We're going to go in and we're going to retake all of Gaza. No more messing around. And they also told Hamas, you have until the end of Trump's visit to the Middle East, which is coming up soon. You have until the end of his visit to negotiate a ceasefire and give us back the hostages, or we are taking out all of Gaza. At the same time, Israel called up tens of thousands of reservists to go into Gaza. Now, a lot of you are cheering this and saying, what took so long? I would agree. Israel has a real problem right now. The problem is they're starting to see political divide from the weariness of war. Because what's happening is a lot of people go, let's just get the hostages back. Let's call an end to this. We're losing tons of soldiers. I believe Israel's already lost over 1,000 soldiers trying to get back over 250 hostages. Now there's about 59 hostages remaining, and only 24 of them we have proof of life on. In fact, we have a lot of proof that the rest of them, that a lot of the other ones are dead. So this is something that a lot of people are saying, is this worth it anymore? Let's just go in and carpet bomb Gaza and be done with all of it. I just want to remind everybody that if Israel wanted to actually do a genocide, they would have just carpet bombed Gaza on October 8th, and we wouldn't be doing this right now. The reason they're losing all these soldiers is because they're going door to door in guerrilla warfare, taking out terrorists who are hiding among civilians. So that's the status of things in the Middle East. Now, with regards to the Trump administration, reports are coming out now that Donald Trump has said to Israel, do what you got to do. You take them out. They're horrible, horrible people. They're the absolute worst. Bibi, you're my best friend. I love you. Just like you got shot in battle, I got shot too. Look at my ear. Look at my ear. Right. That's the conversations they're having behind the scenes. In fact, that's verbatim. The conversations they're having behind the scenes. So Trump gets asked about this in the Oval Office today. Now, I'm a little disappointed today. Or maybe it's classic Trump distraction. All this is going on. You've got the trade war going on. You've got the administration announcing they're paying illegal immigrants to leave the country. So when they announce there's going to be a Trump press conference, I'm thinking to myself, what's he going to talk about? This is going to be great. What's he going to talk about? Instead, they announced that the NFL is going to have the draft next year in Washington, D.C. That's the big announcement? Well, luckily, the reporters were asking questions about what's going on in the Middle East and all these other hot-button issues we're talking about. So they asked him about what's happening with Gaza, because for the past few months, Israel has not allowed aid into Gaza. Let's be clear about the reasons why. Hamas always stole the aid every single time, and very little of it was actually getting to the Palestinian people. So basically what Israel was doing was supplying the people it is fighting, which is insane for any war. So they've cut off aid to Gaza. They cut off utilities to Gaza. They're saying we're not putting up with this nonsense anymore. We're not going to supply the people we're fighting, who, by the way, were selling this stuff on the black market and not giving it to Palestinian civilians. And they were saying no more aid. So there's been a lot of flack headed Israel's way saying you're denying aid. No, they're stopping Hamas from getting aid. It was fascinating what Trump said today in the Oval Office.
We're going to help the people of Gaza get some food. People are starving, and we're going to help them get some food. A lot of people are making it very, very bad. If you look, Hamas is making it impossible because they're taking everything that's brought in. But we're going to help the people of Gaza because they're being treated very badly by Hamas. Thank you very much.
By the way, the clarity on that is great. Why couldn't Joe Biden ever do that? What did Joe Biden do? They're not getting the aid, so we're going to spend $500 million sending an aid on a floating dock. Yeah, floating dock. It's going to float. That's what we're going to do. Right? That's basically what he said during the State of the Union. And what happened from that? Didn't we lose an American service member during that mess? Didn't American service members get injured during that? And what happened? Hamas stole the aid. And also the thing washed away 3 or 4 times, and then they finally shut it down. So at least we have moral clarity back in the Oval Office, which is really a refreshing change. Now, unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of people saying, no, this is Israel's fight. We don't want boots on the ground. We don't want to. Nobody's asking for American boots on the ground. Israel can do this themselves. They just need the weaponry, and they need to have any restrictions taken off them. Now, Trump, this is fascinating too. Let's not forget the Trump administration, for the past few weeks, has been negotiating with Iran. At this point, by giving Israel the go-ahead against Hamas, it means the U.S. has realized the negotiations with Iran are getting absolutely nowhere, and that Iran was just stalling for time. Iran was stalling to rebuild their defensive systems, which were taken out by Israel when Iran launched that massive barrage of kamikaze drones and ballistic missiles at Israel last year in April. So Israel took out their defensive weapons finally, and then they've been sitting there trying to rebuild them all this time and stalling for time with Donald Trump saying they're going to negotiate. If Donald Trump gave the go-ahead for Israel to take out the Houthis, and we've seen these massive explosions of their port, of other targets, if he has given the go-ahead to do that and go into Gaza to turn it into the Riviera, it's going to be Mara Gaza, it's going to be Gaza Lago, it's going to be the most beautiful place. If he's given the go-ahead for that, that means he's done negotiating with Iran. That's actually very, very encouraging. So really, this doesn't end until you cut the head off the snake. But Donald Trump also announced on Friday, don't forget, that anybody who does business with Iran, buys Iranian oil, are going to get U.S. sanctions. Now, does that mean they start buying Russian oil? Does that mean they start buying Chinese oil? Does that mean they start buying American oil? We want them to buy American oil. But these things are all connected. And for those of you who are saying Israel's going to drag us into another war in the Middle East, guys, this isn't Israel dragging anybody anywhere. Hamas killed 44 Americans on October 7th. And let's not forget, one of the hostages they still have, who's still alive, Edan Alexander, is a kid from New Jersey. Don't we want it to be that the rest of the world is afraid to take Americans hostage, that they would never, ever think of something like that? But also, it's the only democracy in the Middle East. Also, they're a strategic partner. I wish we would take the military base out of Qatar and drop it in the Sinai, and that we'd help Israel with that. I wish we would do that instead. Why are we playing footsie with Qatar, a country that was harboring the heads of Hamas who killed the Americans, who are holding the Americans hostage? Why are we doing that? I know that a lot of people get squishy over this kind of stuff, but you have to realize we have allies for a reason. And some of our allies are very, very beneficial. Something else is that we're able to respond to problems around the globe. We need the bases other places. So that way we can launch fighter jets, so we can rescue Americans, you know, like how Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton didn't do in Benghazi. If you've seen the movie, we had resources that were right there, ready to go. And Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton wouldn't let them go. They were there, ready to go. So this is all major, major developments. Hopefully good news comes out of it. But over the weekend, there were a lot of other developments in Trump land. So he sits down with an interview with NBC News. And they asked him about a lot of the things that we all knew were nonsense or trolling the left. And Donald Trump admitted that it was a lot of trolling. He didn't say it was trolling, but he admitted what's actually going on. So first, the question is, let's talk about, is Donald Trump really running for president in 2028?
The Trump organization is selling hats that say Trump 2028.
Yeah.
Are you seriously considering a third term, Mr.
Well,
President, even though it's prohibited by the Constitution? Or is this about staying politically viable?
I will say this. So many people want me to do it. I have never had requests so strong as that. But it's something that, to the best of my knowledge, you're not allowed to do. I don't know if that's constitutional that they're not allowing you to do it or anything else, but there are many people selling the 2028 hat. But this is not something I'm looking to do. I'm looking to have 4 great years and turn it over to somebody, ideally a great Republican, to carry it forward. But I think we're going to have 4 years, and I think 4 years is plenty of time to do something really spectacular.
The Constitution does prohibit it. Some of your allies are pretty serious about this, though, Mr. President. I've spoken to them. They say they are coming up with potential ways.
Well,
obviously, the biggest one will be a constitutional amendment.
Okay, can we stop right there for a second? There are people who are fans of mine who say crazy things. Does that mean I believe it? No, of course not. And there are plenty of people who say they speak for MAGA or MAGA adjacent or whatever. Unless you hear it from him, oh, your allies are saying this. That is such a leftist smear tactic. It's like when they say, oh, well, this person who committed this crime follows these people on social media. Does that mean the people had anything to do with it whatsoever? What a nonsensical question. But I did like this one, too. This was very entertaining. So over the weekend, Donald Trump's team over at the White House, they are really good at their social media game. Really, really good. So somebody made an AI image of Donald Trump as the next pope. Is Donald Trump going to be the next pope? Clearly not. He's got an issue with that whole celibacy thing. I don't think that would go over very big. But he's not. It's funny. It's cute. And they know it drives the left insane. By the way, my Catholic friends were all sharing that meme because they thought it was funny. My Catholic conservative friends, I should say, not my liberal Catholic friends. They all thought it was funny. Here's what Donald Trump said about that today.
We Catholics were not so happy about the image of you looking like the Pope.
Oh, I see. You mean they can't take a joke? You don't mean the Catholics. You mean the fake news media. Not the Catholics loved it. I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I got to say, guys, come on, chill out. It's a joke. Did you guys get this mad about the Star Wars meme, too? Yesterday was Star Wars Day. Mike and I both know it's not actually Star Wars Day. We're not going to litigate that right now. But there's a meme of Donald Trump all buffed up, looking like steroided Donald Trump, holding a lightsaber, and they're saying, "May the 4th be with you." I think they were just trying to get Mark Hamill to respond. Mike, did you see if he actually did respond? I don't think he took the bait. I didn't see it at all.
I didn't look. I don't know if Mark Hamill's actually on Twitter anymore. He might have gone to where the skies are blue. I don't know.
Oh, he went over there. I see. Yes, it was funny. It's fun. It's entertaining. Mike, I like to think we were fair. Occasionally, the Biden administration had a decent social media post, and we went, okay. Or as Mike would say, I'll allow it. That's what happened from time to time. Guys, chill out. It's jokes. You guys go completely bonkers about everything.
However, I will advocate for the devil here. You know, we being devil's advocate, the most pro-devil show on the radio. I understand their jokes. I get that they're memes. Their social game is strong. Their meme game is strong. But I think, I'm going to stick my neck out here. I think Trump is more fixated on grabbing headlines and getting people on both sides of the media to talk about this stuff, because we in conservative media are talking about this, as are our friends on the other side of the aisle. Everybody's talking about this. That's all fine and well, but I feel like Trump is losing sight of the message. I think he's losing sight of what the objective is, and I think he's losing sight of what made his first administration so successful. I don't know about you, but I don't know if this is what I voted for.
So here's something that, let's give him benefit of the doubt on this until we can't anymore. And in our first segment today, we pulled out a whole bunch of things we can't give him benefit of the doubt on that just don't work right now. So let's take this for a minute. We know that during Trump administration number 1, it was always, look, shiny, over here, look at the shiny thing. And nobody's paying attention to what's happening with the other hand. Is this part of that, or has he gotten too caught up in this? Because I said, when he first got elected, if he wants to be successful, don't go to crazy town again. Because if you go to crazy town again, he sometimes gets bogged down in crazy town and not doing what we need him to do to make America great again. A lot of you say he can walk and chew gum at the same time. Usually, yes. Sometimes he's playing 4D chess. But for example, right now with the tariff thing, there's a lot to be concerned about that could cost him the midterm elections. And I want him to win. I want him to be successful. So when he gets dragged down by things like this, and we're taking up time talking about this stupid, it only reinforces in people's head the first time. And then they go, well, maybe I shouldn't have voted for him. I mean, I know I voted Republican this time, even though I'm a Democrat, but that's just because Kamala sucked. It can't be that bad next time. Right? That's what I'm worried about heading into 2026 and 2028.
My attitude this morning, Ari, after the weekend of all of this, even going into last week a bit, like with the Veterans Day stuff, I think that was kind of like the beginning of this cycle for me. I came in this morning and I'm like, Ari, we've asked our audience this enough. Have you had enough winning? I think I've had enough winning. So this is a little too much winning for my taste. I would like some actual policy. And some actual winning and not just this cartoon nonsense.
Let me clarify this for our audience so you understand.
Sure.
Mike has hobbies that he enjoys. He's an American. He's gotten used to the hobbies he enjoys. And now the tariffs are affecting his hobbies. Now, at some point, you go, okay, I know we're supposed to be good Americans and fight China and all this kind of stuff, but a little bit of me time. Now, you may think that's a selfish mentality. You may think that. But I want you to think about this for a
That's my
second.
right as an American.
That's
I
your
am
right
a
as an American.
selfish prick. Yes.
But here's something else you need to think about. When parents only have a choice between a couple of toys or whatever it is at the holidays, they're not going to sit there going, I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt. Some of them will, but if they can't find the things they need for their kids, now you got a problem. You got an electorate problem. And I will remind everybody, that's the kind of stuff that cost Joe Biden the election. Now, is there a bright light at the end of the tunnel? We're all hoping so. Announce a couple trade deals as soon as possible and change this media cycle, and then Mike and I can stop having this discussion. But until you do, everybody in the media is having this discussion, and people only read the headlines on their phones. They're not reading the articles. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, Barstool Sports at the center of a nationwide controversy. We'll discuss what's going on, but first, Todd Herman's Daily Thoughtcast, right now on The Ari Hoffman Show. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, coming up at 5:45 is your chance to win fantabulous prizes, including a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card and 2 tickets to Bryan Adams at Climate Pledge Arena. Yet another reason. Always keep your radio tuned to 570 KVI. Left on your dial, always right on the issues. You can also stream us at KVI.com. Download the KVI app, and, of course, subscribe to us on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. Over the weekend, there was an incident at the Barstool Sports Bar in Philadelphia. What happened? Apparently, there was some kind of beer event, and the waitresses there were asked to bring out a sign that said, F the Jews, except they didn't censor it. And a video of this goes viral, where you have kids from Temple University who are the ones who asked for this sign to be brought out. So you've got the people who asked for the sign, and you've got the waitresses that actually said, yes, we'll do it. This video goes mega viral. Now, Barstool Sports, for those of you who don't know, very popular sports site. It's like what we all enjoyed in Maxim magazine when we were teenage boys, but with a lot more sports and fun videos and memes and everything. I love Barstool Sports. I really do. I wish I had time to watch it more often. I wish it popped up in my algorithm more, but I'm too busy talking about politics. Dave Portnoy, the guy who founded Barstool Sports, sure, he's got some problems in his background, but you know what? What I like about Dave Portnoy is he did more to save restaurants during COVID than the federal government. This is a guy who put in hundreds of thousands of his own dollars, fundraised a ton of more money to save restaurants that didn't have customers during COVID, including some restaurants I love, including kosher restaurants I know, but he was trying to save as many as possible. Dave Portnoy, crass human being. Very, very crass. Talks filthy guy. But here's the thing about Dave Portnoy. He means well. I truly believe that. He's not a Democrat. He's not a Republican. If anything, he was more of a liberal kind of guy, not very political, but definitely more on the left. But you don't mess with him on restaurants, and you don't mess with him on anti-Semitism. Dave Portnoy is Jewish. He supports Israel. This is something he's not going to put up with. And even though he's got some issues with Israel here and there, the sign didn't say F Israel. It said F the Jews. He's not putting up with that. So what happens? He gets on social media, puts out this video. As I said, crass. So some of you, I'm sorry if this offends you. Here's what he said.
All right, emergency press conference time. So I'm getting ready to go to the Met Gala. And all of a sudden my phone, the last hour or two, my phone's blowing up. Our bar in Philadelphia, Barstool Sampson Street, usually a great bar. You know, bottle service, people buy drinks. You get a sign. There was a sign yesterday that said, the Jews. I've been shaking. I've been so mad for the last 2 hours. Like, I instantly got on. This is why the emergency press conference was late, because I was so over the top. It's like, I'm going to make it my life mission to ruin these people. Like, I'm coming to your throat. I'm never ending. And I just sat, and for the last 2 hours, I have been on the trail. Trust me, I've been on the trail. You think I'm going to put up with this at my bar? So I've been hunting down waitresses, the table who did it, and everything you can name, because I want consequences for actions. So I'm not just sitting back like, oh, what are you going to know? Trust me, I have been on it.
Now, we're going to take a break right here from his cussing for a second. We're going to take a little break and give you a little bit more context. What happened while this was all going on? He must have woken up to this or something. I don't know where he was, because this thing had already gone viral before he saw it. And this guy is always on social media. Groups like Stop Anti-Semitism were flagging him because they know he doesn't put up with this. But here's something else.
Yeah, that's where I saw it first.
Right, exactly. So here's something fascinating about this. Immediately, Dave Portnoy has more conviction than most of the college campuses. We're not putting up with this. Then people in the Biden administration, we're not putting up with this. Then people in our own government here in Seattle, in Washington State, I'm not putting up with this. I'm going to find the people responsible, and we're going to shut it down. Temple University, where these kids go to school, to their credit, immediately issued a statement when they found out they were Temple kids and saying, we do not stand for this. This is unacceptable. This is wrong. And they even suspended the kid because schools do have a code of conduct. Yes, even UW does, but they don't actually support the thing. So what happens? Dave Portnoy fires the waitresses that were involved in this. The kids are suspended, but then Dave Portnoy has a change of heart. He is that fired up. You heard how fired up he was. And he says, you know what? Teaching moment. He got the waitresses on the phone. And he said this in another follow-up video, which I didn't want to ask Mike to censor another one of Dave Portnoy's videos. But he says, I found the waitresses, I called them, and it's like, I'm your boss. This is Dave Portnoy, who runs Barstool Sports, the bar you work at. We need to talk about this right now. And they go, we're at a dance class. Can we talk to you later? No, I'm your boss. We're going to talk about this right now. He fired both of them. He gave the same chance to the students. One of the students who was tagged was not one of the ones who was there. The kid was like near tears, according to Dave Portnoy. He doesn't know why he was tagged, how he was tagged. He had nothing to do with it. But this other student was also worried his life was going to get ruined. So what did Dave Portnoy do? He said, I'm going to send you to Auschwitz so you can get educated on Jew hatred. Now, I always think this is a bad idea because it's kind of like a get-out-of-jail-free card. And stop giving anti-Semites ideas of how to kill us. Can we not do that, please? Anyway, he offers this kid a free trip to Poland, which I think, all right, interesting way to go. Isn't there a Holocaust museum near him? But I understand. Turns out the kid is now lawyered up and said he's not going to go. So Dave Portnoy gave you a get-out-of-jail-free card. Dave Portnoy is going to ruin your life on social media for the rest of your life. Was the hatred of Jews worth it? Was that really worth it? That's the hate that's in some people's hearts. That's really it. It's crazy that people have doubled down on their hate so much. They'd rather give up the free trip to Germany and the chance at redemption of Dave Portnoy putting his arm around you and, oh, so glad you learned a few things. Let me go with you. Instead, they'd rather double down on the Jew hatred. Wow. You're now suspended from college and you don't have the free trip to Poland. Maybe you should rethink your priorities when you hate Jews that much, that's the direction you're going in. When we come back, my friends, another pedophile teacher is arrested in Washington State. Does it ever end? Or is this really just the beginning? We'll have the details for you when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI.
Another one.
Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. I have no idea why there's a giant taco hat in the studio. I don't know what's going on with that morning show, but if you're watching over at Rumble, Facebook, X, and YouTube, you can see the beautiful taco hat, which I know belongs to young Zach. I can imagine it's probably for Cinco de Mayo or something in some bit they were doing this morning, but I'm enjoying the taco hat. It's actually kind of comfortable. Anyway, make sure to follow us and stream us so that way you can actually see all the fun going on in the studio. Oh, here comes Mike.
You think he has that just for Cinco de Mayo?
No, he has this for Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, I was going to say every
Taco
Tuesday that makes an appearance. Ironically enough, no tacos on Tuesday for Zach and his friends. Ironically enough.
Oh no. Well, I do like the hat. It's, by the way, for a goofy hat, it's very comfortable.
Yeah.
Normally the goofy hats are not comfortable. I do like this hat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool looking too.
I do like it.
It's very Napoleonic in appearance.
I think it makes me look like I have a taco mohawk is what I
Yes,
think is
taco
going on.
mohawk. I like
Taco
that.
mohawk.
Yeah, somebody get that trending.
All right, we go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Dan in Tacoma. Dan, what's up?
Hey, I was just wanting to find out about this possible strike for airlines for the fuelers tomorrow. I
Yeah,
can't
so
find too much on it.
we haven't gotten any updates yet, which normally they'd be in the doom and gloom and the scary stage right now where, hey, all these airlines are going to be going on strike. I wonder if they're closer to a settlement, so there's no real ammo for the strike yet because it's really not in the news anywhere. Normally they love panic porn, and we haven't seen any of it so far.
Because I heard it this morning on the radio from your morning crew.
Yeah, no, they were talking about this morning, but it's kind of disappeared from the headlines. So I wonder if that means they're close to a settlement or they shot their shot in the morning and now nothing. I know Phil's going to have updates on the strike tomorrow during the morning ride. So you should listen from 6 to 9 a.m. tomorrow so that we can get all the updates on it. I haven't seen anything since they are reporting on it. Dan, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Brett in Maple Valley. Brett, what's going on?
Hey, Ari, real quick, I want to share two experiences with you that I thought were great, kind of a great clash of culture. So, 15 years ago, I go back to my nephew's wedding back in New York. He's Catholic. His mom is Catholic. His wife, or his fiance at the time, Jewish, comes from a very big Jewish family. The best man in his wedding is Palestinian. They grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
And his best man, his mom, is from Palestine, or over there in Gaza, I think. So, great wedding. Everybody gets along great. I enjoyed visiting with his mom. She was such a tremendous joy, such a joyful, happy person despite what's going on. Fast forward, just last weekend, we go to Denver. His oldest son's bar mitzvah.
Mm-hmm.
Same people again. A very large Jewish celebration. Got his, unfortunately, my sister passed away, but he's Catholic. His wife is Jewish again. Having a bar mitzvah. The best man was his wedding that he grew up with is there with his family and his kids. They're Palestinian. He's very anti-Israel, but it didn't matter. That's what was so great about it. None of that mattered. And you just had this clash of cultures of everybody in this room. And by the way, the Jews put on a really fantastic party, I got to tell you.
We know how to party at the bar mitzvahs and the weddings. We do, yes.
And the stories. And they love to tell stories, and I love it.
Yeah.
It was a great experience. So I wrestle with this whole anti-Semite thing and why that, it's not a question we can certainly answer today, or I don't even know when. But when you see this kind of people get together in this clash of cultures, I didn't even say the clash, just a mixture of different cultures and getting along, it's just kind of renewing a little bit.
So just think about the last few scenes in Zohan. You don't mess with the Zohan, which is a very entertaining movie, and no way it could be made these days. But when they're all standing, when the Palestinians and Israelis are all standing around talking with each other about how, about what they have in common is really one of the great scenes in movies. And that's how a lot of people are here in America. I mean, two of my best friends growing up as kids who lived down the block were two Muslim kids. Unfortunately, the stuff in the Middle East, a lot of people take whatever they take from it and don't realize the nuance of what's going on, which is why I hope that I educate my audience a little bit of the nuance that's going on. But, Brett, that is great context that everybody should be listening to. Those are really great stories. Thank you for sharing it with me. Gives me a little bit more hope in humanity. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. Got about a minute left. Real quick, we go to John in Lakewood. John, what's up, man?
I just wanted to say that people have to stop worrying about things not happening as quickly as they'd like, because there was a time when a president used to get 100 days of a honeymoon period to let his policies come into play. I know those days are long gone, but people who make major decisions like voting for presidents have to let these things come to pass.
Well, I think what's happening, John, is realize you built a very fragile coalition, and there's a lot of leftists and a lot of Democrats in that coalition, and you got a lot of people who voted for Trump because things were so bad the other way. They're not ready to saddle up for this ride. So right now, what we're doing is we are showing people the concerns that are emerging of those people. And if those people decide to go back to the Democrats, we lose the House in 2026. Appreciate the perspective, John. You want to be part of the show? Give us a text at 206-421-5757. Only good news to wrap up the show. Your good news giveaway, your good news headline, your chance to win a $50 gift card plus Bryan Adams tickets. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. It is time to feel good as we wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And before we get to our good news giveaway, got some good news headlines for you. Why did this one have to be about the Yankees? I hate good news about the Yankees. I think everybody in Seattle hates good news about the Yankees, except for the Yankees fans that are transplants here. There was an amazing catch on Saturday at a Yankees game. Now, we've seen amazing dad catches before. The dad who catches the foul ball in the beer without spilling the beer. The dad who's holding the baby while feeding the baby, drops the baby, but grabs the baby midair and still catches the ball. In that vein, we have the new super dad, and I actually think this one is the most impressive of all. Let me explain what's going on here. There's a foul ball coming his direction, and the dad has his daughter on his shoulders. Now, any dad, or anybody who's ever had a kid on their shoulders before, knows the kids sometimes think it's funny to cover dad's eyes, or the person's eyes while they're up there. Or maybe they're just adjusting their hands and don't realize they're covering the eyes. As a dad of 3 children, I can tell you they have all done this to me, whether by accident or on purpose. So what happens? The foul ball is coming at dad, and dad's getting ready to catch it, and then the daughter covers the eyes, and he can't see the ball. He still manages to catch the ball and not drop the child and not knock her off and go, "What the hell are you doing up there?" Manages to catch the ball, proving once again that dads really can do anything, or at least that's what Major League Baseball says. Yeah, a pretty awesome video. I'll try to share it over on socials later if I remember. It's a pretty fun video, even if it's about the Yankees. Meanwhile, a new global study, according to WKRC, found evidence that dogs can understand and combine concepts and, if given the right tools, even talk to their owners. Wait a minute. I've known this for years. My in-law's dog, when it wants something, okay, my in-law's old dog, this is the dog I love. This is the dog I bonded with. This was the COVID dog. This dog knew I was a sucker for walks and knew that whatever this dog wanted, I would give her. If she wanted food, I'd sneak her the meat or whatever it was. This dog, if I was sitting on a couch at my in-law's house, this dog, Rocky, would sneak up behind me and push me off the couch until I would take her for a walk. This is not new information. Oh, also, she would occasionally talk at me. She would growl at me if I didn't take her on a walk, and she would keep pushing me off the couch. But I think dogs still only understand blah, 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 cookie, right? Like, that's what dogs understand. Cats, they judge you. Cats are smarter than you, and they know it. And they sit there looking at you with those eyes, judging you. Human, you work for me now. That's... See, Mike's nodding his head.
I can confirm all of this.
Yes.
Also, they could see the bottom of the bowl. It's like, well, I just fed you. Yes, but I could see the bottom of the bowl. But there's plenty of food around it. Just eat around the bowl. No,
Yes.
I could see the bottom.
Nope.
The bottom.
Yeah, that's right. Those cats don't put up with any. All my friends growing up had cats. They didn't have dogs. Yes, then when I realized I was allergic to cats, that became very inconvenient for my social life, going to everybody's house, yes. I didn't realize that until I was 18 years old. Then it became a problem, especially when I was on dates and everybody in New York had cats. That was a real problem. Anyway, before I forget, your chance to win fantabulous prizes today, we are giving away a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card. Daniel's Broiler has been a Seattle favorite since 1980, features USDA prime steak and other specialties, including chicken and fresh seafood, as well as a selection of high-end spirits, wine, and cocktails. Daniel's Broiler is open now in Bellevue, downtown Seattle and Leschi, and South Lake Union with dine-in, takeout, and delivery. Check out danielsbroiler.com to reserve a table, place your takeout or delivery order, and more. We're also giving away a copy of 7 Steps to a Successful Retirement and a bonus of the Little Red Book of Retirement by Brian Evans of Madrona Financial and CPAs. Learn how to design your retirement to support your quality of life for 30-plus years from Brian Evans of Madrona Financial and CPAs, a local company working to help you grow deep financial roots so that future financial storms don't blow your life savings away. Visit madronafinancial.com for more information and discover how you can create a rooted wealth plan today. Last but certainly not least, we are giving away two tickets to Bryan Adams at Climate Pledge Arena on November 21st. Bryan Adams is coming to Seattle's Climate Pledge Arena on Friday, November 21st with Pat Benatar. Woo! Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. I would actually love to go to something like that. I got to check Sabbath time, see if I could do it. My wife and I, first dance at our wedding between the married couple, Bryan Adams. You know the song from the Three Musketeers movie?
Oh, the All for Love.
All for Love. We did that.
With Bryan Adams.
Oh, no, wait,
and
it wasn't.
Sting
I speak incorrectly. That was wrong. Our first one was the one from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh, yeah.
I get those two
everything
confused.
I do it for
you.
you.
That was the one.
Yes.
My bad.
Not to be confused with the Summer of '69 or the Run to You.
I love all those songs. I love all the good stuff.
Actually, this sounds like a really fun show.
Yes.
I will
like
probably
Pat
get
Benatar.
my wife to want to go because she enjoys both of them as well. That'll be fun.
All you have to do in order to win these fantabulous prizes. Be caller number 10 at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Caller number 10 wins $50 Daniels Broiler gift card, a copy of 7 Steps to a Successful Retirement, and a bonus of the Little Red Book of Retirement by Brian Evans of Madrona Financial, and 2 tickets to Brian Adams at Climate Pledge Arena on November 21st. Phone lines are open now. Give Mike a call for your chance to win at 206-421-5757. Well, that's going to do it for us today, my friends. Fear not, we'll be back tomorrow with more insane stories, more exciting guests, and, of course, more giveaways. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.